The past never truly dies. It only hides in the shadows, waiting for the moment to be reborn. For the narcissist, the past is not a memory, but a sentence they cannot deny. They may twist it, deny it, or build a false narrative, but the truth remains like a mirror, reflecting the very wounds they have inflicted. Perhaps you once feared they had escaped punishment, living a peaceful life after having destroyed you. But remember this: no one can shatter another's soul without planting a seed of darkness within their own. And your absence, a silence filled with unwavering resolve and strength, will become the most haunting soundtrack following them for the rest of their lives. In this video, we will expose the truth: why a narcissist can never escape the consequences of their actions. Stay until the very end, because only when you truly understand this will you be able to feel the supreme power of silence and the healing energy within yourself. 1. The past never disappears. It only hides in silence. There's a simple yet profound truth: the past never dissolves. It doesn't vanish just because someone denies it or pretends it never happened. The past cannot be controlled by lies, nor does it bow to stories woven to conceal the truth. And it is here that the narcissist falls into an inescapable paradox. They want to bury what they have done, to seal their mistakes into a dark box, lock it shut, and throw it into the void. They want to believe that if they invent another story where they are the victim, the misunderstood one, or even the hero, then reality itself will yield. But the truth serves no one. It exists independently, cold and permanent. Every action, every word, every wound they inflict is etched into the fabric of time, and time, even in silence, preserves it all. That is a sentence no narcissist can erase, no matter how cleverly they twist reality. Narcissists are masters at crafting stories about themselves. They can turn selfishness into sacrifice. They can paint their indifference as you being too sensitive. They can effortlessly embody the victim even when they are the one who caused the wound. But every manipulation comes at a cost. To protect the illusion, they must constantly deny reality. To maintain the false story, they must suppress fragments of genuine memory. Yet what is buried never vanishes. It only sleeps. And the deeper it is forced down, the larger it grows, as a ghost in their subconscious. You may never hear an apology. They may never admit they were wrong. But believe this: the price of denial is imprisonment within their own mind. The narcissist thinks they have escaped, but in truth they are locked inside a prison of their own making, filled with anxiety, insecurity, and relationships that collapse one after another. What terrifies them most is not your anger, not your accusations, not even your hatred, because anger is still a reaction, and a reaction means they still occupy a place in your life. What truly sends them into a panic is your calm. It is when you are silent, no longer arguing, no longer needing to prove, no longer hoping for acknowledgement. When you walk away in peace, you become the mirror reflecting what they have always tried to avoid: the truth. And that truth, no matter how many masks they wear, can never be erased. You don't need to shout that they were wrong. Your calm presence is already a powerful declaration. I know the truth, and I don't need your confirmation. That is the heaviest sentence for someone who survives on the illusion of control. After exploring the truth that the past is an unerasable sentence for the narcissist, we now delve into another aspect of the issue. Denial is not freedom. It is a form of imprisonment. It's easy to be misled into thinking that narcissists can easily escape the consequences of their actions, that they can inflict harm, walk away, and continue life as if nothing ever happened. But the truth is the exact opposite. Inside them, denial is not freedom, it is a form of captivity. A narcissist spends their entire life running from reality, building walls of lies and illusions to keep their fragile ego from collapsing. They convince themselves that they are innocent, that others are at fault, and that they are the true victims. However, every act of avoidance comes at a cost, because nothing buried ever disappears. It simply waits silently in the dark, growing heavier like a stone tied to the soul, forcing them to drag their unease through life. The narcissist may weave elaborate scripts in which they are always the center, the righteous one, the admired one, or at least the pitiable one. They can repeat a story so many times that even they begin to believe it. Nevertheless, the truth doesn't vanish just because it's ignored. Reality has its own way of surfacing, and what they bury inevitably rises in their weakest moments. It might appear as unexplained anxiety, relationships that repeatedly collapse, or a void that no achievement can ever fill. This is the price of denial, a sentence without a courtroom, but one that binds them for life. You may have hoped they would admit their wrongs, offer a sincere apology, or come back and take responsibility, but narcissists don't live in the world of truth. They live in the world of illusion. And in that illusion, apology doesn't exist because admitting guilt means shattering the mask they've spent a lifetime protecting. What they fail to realize is that denial doesn't erase guilt. It only drives it deeper, smoldering beneath the surface, gradually eroding them from within. What makes this denial even more dangerous is that it comes with projection. Narcissists cannot bear to look at themselves, so they pin their faults on others. They blame, they slander, they make you believe you're too sensitive, too weak, or too selfish. But in reality, those very actions reveal how imprisoned they are by the truths they refuse to face. The calmer you are, the clearer a mirror you become that they cannot escape. You don't need to argue to prove it. Truth requires no defense. It simply exists. And the narcissist, whether they admit it or not, carries it in their own mind. What truly terrifies the narcissist is not your anger or hatred. They're not afraid of your accusations or emotional outbursts. To them, all of these reactions are proof that they still hold power over your mind. Every tear, every fit of rage, every reaction makes them feel strong, but there is one thing that truly sends them into a panic. Your calm. When you're no longer arguing, no longer trying to prove yourself, no longer craving validation, their power instantly collapses. Your serenity becomes the mirror, reflecting the truth they always try to avoid. When you fall silent and walk away, you unintentionally become a living testament to what they have done. You don't have to scream that they were wrong. You don't have to recount every detail to convince others. Your calm presence alone is a powerful declaration. I know the truth, and I don't need you to confirm it. For the narcissist, this is the harshest sentence because they can no longer control that truth or control you. This causes an internal collapse. Deep down, the narcissist desperately clings to the mask they've built. They need the world to see them as a pitiable victim, a misunderstood genius, or an untouchable figure of power. But when you leave with calm, that mask begins to crack. Because you are no longer playing the part in the script they wrote. You have stepped off the stage they constructed. From that moment on, every story they weave loses its power. They can tell the world that you were weak, wrong, or not good enough. But the way you live peacefully, steadfastly, and unconcerned with their validation is the strongest rebuttal of all. Narcissists fear silence not because it's empty, but because it is full of truth, strength, and boundaries they can no longer cross. When you are silent, you stop fueling them. The cycle they rely on, hurting you, waiting for a reaction, and then feeding on that sense of control is broken. And when there is no one left to react, they are left alone with themselves. That is their greatest horror, because inside them there is only chaos, emptiness, and insecurity. In the world of the narcissist, power doesn't come from truth or love, but from your reaction. Every time you cry, they feel important. Every time you get angry, they feel powerful. Every time you explain, argue, or beg, they know they are still the center of your mind. And this is what sustains the illusion of control they cling to so desperately. But when you go silent, that familiar cycle instantly collapses. There is no longer a stage for them to perform on, no audience to witness their act, and in that moment they are left alone with themselves, something they were never prepared to face. You must understand that your silence is not emptiness. It is not surrender or escape. On the contrary, it is power. It is the declaration that you no longer allow anyone else to dictate your emotions. It's a clear boundary. You no longer have the right to touch my soul. For the narcissist, this is the most bitter defeat because they live off psychological control, and when it vanishes, it feels like being cut off from oxygen. When you are silent, you cut off the emotional supply. They are used to feeding on your anger, your pain, or even the fragile hope that they might change. All of those reactions serve as fuel to maintain their control. But when you stop providing it, when you withdraw your participation, they are forced to face an unbearable void. And that void was not created by you. It has always been inside them, the emptiness they have tried to fill by manipulating others. This is why your silence often drives them into a panic. They might try anything to drag you back into the old cycle. They might appear weak, telling you they need you or that they're going through a hard time. They might explode in rage, accuse you of being cold, or pretend to be remorseful. All of it has only one purpose: to provoke a reaction. Because as long as you react, they feel they exist. But if you remain calm, if you stay rooted in your silence, they will realize that the key to controlling you has slipped from their hands. And that is their greatest fear. One of the fastest ways a narcissist begins to collapse is the moment they realize the mask they've worn for so long is cracking, when control slips from their hands, and when no one believes the story they've spun. They panic and reach for their last weapon, manipulation through words and appearances. They cling desperately to the false narrative they've carefully constructed, in which they are always right, always the victim, or the misunderstood hero. And they will do everything possible to force you back into the role they've written for you, the weak one, the unstable one, or even the guilty one. But once you step out of that script, once you live calmly and steadfastly, their story begins to lose its power. You become living proof that none of their words were ever true. This is something the narcissist cannot endure. They survive only as long as others believe the image they project. When someone challenges that image simply by living authentically, the mask trembles. They may fight frantically to preserve it, smear your name, invent lies, or distort reality to protect the version of the truth they fabricated. But truth has a quiet strength. It needs no defense, and it endures over time. When you choose to live authentically, you don't need to argue or confront. Your inner peace and clarity alone are enough to unravel their entire illusion. You may notice them changing strategies. When they realize you no longer react, they may pivot to playing the victim before others. They'll claim you are heartless, that you abandoned them when they needed you most. They seek a new audience to keep the show alive. But what they fail to see is that audiences eventually drift away, because no lie can hold people forever. In time, the cracks in their story become undeniable. Outsiders will notice the inconsistencies, the lack of sincerity. And when that happens, the illusion collapses at its core. In that moment, you are no longer a supporting character in their script. You become the author of your own story, and that is the greatest freedom. You no longer chase explanations, no longer prove yourself to anyone. Every calm step you take, every achievement you earn, every peaceful smile you wear is like a blade cutting through the mask they cling to. They cannot argue with the reality you live. They can fabricate, but they cannot erase the truth revealed in your life. When you reach this point, you'll realize justice doesn't need to come from outside. It's not a legal verdict or a public punishment. Justice unfolds in the truth that cannot be hidden, in the void they face when control slips away, in the darkness they built and now remain trapped in. Meanwhile, you move forward, reborn, growing and stronger than before. That is justice, silent, enduring, and the deepest victory of all. And here lies the most important truth. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove them wrong. Every day you live well, every step you take in peace is a powerful testimony. The narcissist may cling to their story, but truth quietly dismantles it piece by piece. And that truth is your strongest ally. Remember, your greatest power is not in shouting the truth, but in living without needing to say a word. Your serene presence, your empowered silence, and your life built on genuine values, these are what the narcissist cannot bear, because they remind them that in the end, every lie decays while truth always stands firm. Finally, there is one truth you must hold on to. The narcissist may deceive, manipulate, and spin 1,000 stories, but they can never escape the truth. That truth lives within you, in your memory, in your calm presence as you walk away. Every day you live authentically. Every moment you heal, every smile you wear, every step of steadfastness you take is a powerful declaration that they no longer have power over your life. And that is a sentence no court needs to declare, yet one that will haunt them forever. Justice in toxic relationships does not come from revenge. It comes from your refusal to keep playing the role they wrote for you. It comes from your choice to be silent, to walk away, to be reborn in freedom. Every time you don't react, every time you refuse to be pulled back into the old cycle, you affirm your inner strength. And the truth is, you are the one holding the power now, not them. We have journeyed together through layers of truth, peeling back the illusions the narcissist uses to conceal their true nature. We have seen that the past is not a chapter that ends, but an eternal sentence. We have understood that denial is not freedom, but a form of imprisonment in a prison of their own making. Above all, we have realized the supreme power of silence, a wordless weapon strong enough to dismantle their entire kingdom of illusion. When you step out of their game, you are not the loser. You are the one who has reclaimed your crown. Every manipulation, every lie, every attempt to pull you back becomes meaningless when you refuse to react. You have cut off their energy source, forcing them to confront their greatest fear, the emptiness and insecurity within themselves. They may cling to their false story, but the truth needs no one to defend it. It exists in your composure, in eyes no longer filled with pain, and in the life you are rebuilding day by day. True justice doesn't require a public courtroom. It's not about their public downfall, but about your rebirth. While they remain trapped in a loop of lies and fear, you are living a full, peaceful, and authentic life. Your very happiness is the most powerful testimony, the strongest rebuttal to every lie they have ever told. You have proven that you cannot be destroyed. You can be hurt, but you will always find a way to heal and rise. This is a liberating truth. You don't need to seek revenge. Revenge only keeps you tied to them. Liberation comes from accepting that you no longer belong to that world. The greatest justice is when you reclaim control of your life, build genuine relationships, and find joy in your stillness. You have not only triumphed over them, but also over your own fear and pain. So, if you have ever felt weak, if you have ever feared that they got away unpunished, remember this message. Justice has been served. It is not loud or public, but it is enduring and undeniable. It is written every day in your life, a life of freedom, peace, and strength. If these words have resonated with you, if you are on a journey of healing and reclaiming your strength, know that you are not alone. There are millions of others walking this same path. Together, by sharing the truth and living authentically, we become living proof that they never truly win. Join us on this journey. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the healing and awakening messages we will share every week. This journey is not just yours, it is the journey of all of us who have been hurt, but who still choose to rise, stand strong, and live a life of freedom.